Hello students, welcome back to soft skill session number 3, and in this session we're going to work on reading comprehension. Reading comprehension is something that we've been doing since our school days, and it's not something new for you at all, but still we find reading comprehension you really worried about while attempting your verbal written exam. So today we're going to work on certain tips and tricks to crack reading comprehension passages. We're going to work on different types of passages. We're going to work on a few passages. We're going to practice a few strategies that you've learned in this class on solving reading comprehension passages. So first of all, let's see that reading comprehension occupies a very major part in all competitive exams, whether it's international exams or local exams. For example, if you see exams like GRE, TOEFL, SAT, GMAT, CAT, reading comprehension occupies a very major part in these exams. Then we have these bank exams where reading comprehensions are asked, and most importantly in your AMCAT and all your MNCs. Look at the number of MNCs written tests where reading comprehension is asked. For example, Infosys, Accenture, Cognizant, Mindtree, Mphasis, NDT Data, Sapient, HCL. So all these MNCs written test has verbal English and reading comprehension as part of verbal English. Whereas Wipro and Capgemini has essay writing. No, every year the pattern is not, it's not fixed. Every year it might change. You might get a model paper and we'll just have to follow it. So as it is, these are the MNCs that have reading comprehension as part of your verbal written exam. So we've understood the scope of reading comprehension. Whether you want to go for a competitive general bank exam, you will have to master reading comprehension. Whether it is these international high level exams, it's all reading comprehension, and even your MNCs. Yes, because it depends on your capacity to understand and respond, your comprehensive, how much you're able to understand is tested in reading comprehension. Okay, and we always have this fear of reading comprehension. It is always considered as energy sapping, time consuming, information intensive, and vocabulary based. See, when you speak about energy sapping, so you always have this time constraint. Yes, because you will not have more than 60 seconds to answer a question, right? And it will take a lot of time for you to read the whole passage. If you are writing an online test, probably you'll have the whole passage before the screen. Sometimes the passage moves on to the next page also, and after that you'll have at least 5 or 10 questions attached to the passage. So in that case you need a lot of time and there is very less time available. So you feel it's energy sapping. You get very worried and tensed and you lose time. Then information intensive. There is a lot of information. There are different levels of reading comprehension. If we take our AMCAT pattern, so you'll have 3 reading comprehensions with almost like 3 levels. One will be easy, another one will be mediocre, the other one difficult. So what makes the reading comprehension difficult? Probably it is the questions are vocabulary based. You have high level words being used, or it's being you have parallel reasoning. That is, there's an argument and you'll have to support it. Yes, factual. So facts based and inference oriented. That is, you'll have to understand what is spoken about, what conclusions that you can get from reading comprehension passage. Sometimes it's very simple. Yes, sometimes it's an experiment that is conducted. Sometimes it is technology based. Yes, so we'll be observing a few reading comprehension passages as part of this lecture. Yes. So you have these different types of reading comprehensions. We've already said that it is an inevitable, very important part of your written test, whether it is your MNCs or your competitive other exams or whatever it is. So reading comprehensions are unavoidable. You will have to face it. But there are certain strategies to overcome the impediments while working on reading comprehension. One way of overcoming this difficulty level is following bottom-up strategy. What is this bottom-up strategy? See, once you see a huge reading passage and you take at least 10 minutes or 6-7 minutes reading the passage, and then you go to the questions, you find the questions again referring to some part of the passage and you move back and forth, so there is time waste. So instead of that, if you just first look through the questions, you just skim the questions, you will understand what type of questions, what you are required to concentrate on when you read the passage. So reading, going through the questions once will really help you to answer the reading comprehension passages more easily, more swiftly. Then skimming. Skimming is just reading the first paragraph and probably the last few sentences in the reading comprehension. Then you will understand what it is about. If it is about a scientific experiment, yes, an archaeological experiment, or if it is about the market that is happening, or some recent event, some fact-based event, yes, whatever it is, you will understand. If you read the initial paragraph and last few lines, and it is always better to follow the bottom-up strategy, that is, look through the questions and then move on to the passage. And another important point is having a paper with you and noting down some important points, important facts that you come across while reading the comprehension, because you can't remember everything. You must understand your position would be very different from a classroom situation to an exam hall situation where you're all very tensed. Yes, you see the time ticking and you'll have to answer a lot of questions. Sometimes you have easy questions towards the end, and it's all the time management that matters. And in reading comprehension, it is time management occupies a very important position actually. So you'll have to have this brain, eye and hand coordination while working on reading comprehension. You're not supposed to read the words loudly or move your lips while reading the reading comprehension. You'll just have to observe, quietly read it with your eyes, think about the major issues, the major points or thoughts that are discussed, immediately put it on paper. So it will help you to save time and arrive at the answer very easily. And when you come to vocabulary, sometimes it is just one particular word picked from the passage, and they might ask you antonyms or synonyms of this word, or what is the meaning of the word according to the passage. So in this case, you should know that there is something called active vocabulary and passive vocabulary and receptive vocabulary. Now, what is this active vocabulary? Active vocabulary are the words that we know the meanings of and we use in our general day-to-day conversations, in our speech. Passive vocabulary are words, meanings of which we already know, but we do not put it to use. We don't use it at all in our day-to-day conversations or whatever it is. You don't use those words, but you know the meanings of those words. That is passive vocabulary. Receptive vocabulary is you do not know the meanings, you don't use, but you can understand the meaning by reading the paragraph or the sentence. So you can guess the meaning. That is receptive vocabulary. So that plays a major role when it comes to reading comprehension. You can understand the meaning. Suppose they ask you antonym or synonym, you'll have to be very careful about, you have to read the question first. You just can't assume that it is the meaning, it is the synonym, and you don't go for the wrong option. So you'll have to read the question properly, understand the meaning, and then you can guess the meaning by reading the sentence. This is called, understanding the meaning of the word through the sentence is called receptive vocabulary. So now we've examined the importance, the scope of reading comprehension in all the exams that will be conducted. We found out the problems that one might face while solving reading comprehensions. We've also learned the different types of reading comprehension. we've learned there are 3 levels. Yes. So in a general exam, you will have all the 3 levels. Probably you'll have to understand, you can immediately go for a simple reading comprehension. If you have a lot of practice, you can solve a medium difficulty level reading comprehension, and probably you'll have to have command over the language to solve the difficult level of reading comprehension. Generally for engineering students, maybe you won't have parallel reasoning. You'll mostly have factual, inference, of course simple, and a few vocabulary based reading comprehensions. Yes. So now today we'll practice a couple of reading comprehensions. Yes. Following the bottom up strategy and the skimming strategy. Yes. Let's see how we are able to solve a few reading comprehensions. And I would like to tell you that there are 2 websites, faceprep.com, prepinsta.com. If you visit these sites, there are a lot of reading comprehensions and they are taken from previous question papers. It is AMCAT level, and if you practice all these, yes, I'm sure you'll have an edge while working on reading comprehension in your exam, right? Sometimes you don't have to be surprised if reading comprehension that you have practiced also might appear. It might appear in your exam. So it is necessary. So practice is the only solution. It is the only road to success in your verbal written test. Yes. So let's move forward. Let's work with a couple of reading comprehensions before we arrive at the movie challenge.
Students, now let's work on 2 practice reading comprehension passages. So let's move on to the first passage. Passage 1. So as I've told you before previously, we'll just skim through the first paragraph. So passage 1, the unique Iron Age Experimental Center of Leisure, about 40 kilometers west of Copenhagen, serves as a museum, a classroom, and a place to get away from it all. How did people live during the Iron Age? How did they support themselves? What did they eat, and how did they cultivate the land? These and a myriad of other questions prodded the pioneers of leisure experiment. So it's something about an experiment in a place called leisure in Copenhagen. So let's move on to the questions. First question, what is the main purpose of building the Iron Age Experimental Center? There are few options. Let's not work on the options. This question 2. What is the meaning of the sentence? Initially, this experiment proved none too easy for modern Danes accustomed to central heating, but it convinced the center that there was something to the leisure project. So it's something about the project, some experiment. What can be the title of the passage? For this, you'll have to go through the passage. Fourth question, from the passage, what can be inferred to be the center's initial outlook towards the leisure project? It initiated the project, it eagerly supported it, it felt the project was very unique, it was apprehensive about it. So now let's quickly move on and read the rest of the passage. So we've all got, you can just note down that it is an experiment on Iron Age and it's held in Copenhagen, a place called leisure. Living in the open and working 10 hours a day, volunteers from all over Scandinavia, led by 30 experts, built the first village in the ancient encampment in the matter of months. The house walls were of clay, the roofs of hay, all based on original designs. Then came the second stage, getting back to the basics of living. Families were invited to stay in the prehistoric village for a week or 2 at a time and rough it Iron Age style. So it was an experiment and it was a prehistoric village, right? And families were invited to come and stay there. So it was held all over Scandinavia, led by 30 experts. Let's move on. So you'll have to note down the important keywords, whatever you feel like. Initially, this experiment proved none too easy for modern Danes. So it's in Denmark and they are called Danes, accustomed to central heating. But it convinced the center that there was something to the Ledger project. Little by little, the modern Iron Agers learned that their huts were, after all, habitable. The problems were numerous: smoke belching out from the rough and ready fireplaces into the rooms, and so on. These problems, however, have led to some discoveries. Domed smoke ovens made of clay, for example, give out more heat and consume less fuel than an open fire. And when correctly stoked, they are practically smokeless. Okay, so they tried to inhabit themselves with those huts and the traditional, the age old smoke heating system, which gave out a lot of smoke. And let's move on. By contacting other museums, the Ledger team has been able to reconstruct ancient weaving looms and pottery kilns, Iron Age dyeing techniques using local natural vegetation have also been revived, as have ancient baking and cooking methods. So, with the experiment, they were also able to find many more things like ancient baking, weaving, pottery kilns, age dyeing, yes, using the dyes made of natural vegetation and so on and so forth. So that's the passage. Now let's see the first question. What is the main purpose of building the Iron Age Experimental Center? Prehistoric village where people can stay for a week or two to get away from modern living. Replicate the Iron Age to get a better understanding of the time and people of that area. To discover the differences between a doomed smoke oven and an open fire to identify the more efficient of the two. Revive activities of ancient women such as weaving, pottery, dyeing, cooking, baking. So definitely not C and D. So we'll just have to find out the right answer between A and B. So let's move on to first paragraph. The unique Iron Age Experimental Center at Ledger, about 40 kilometers west of Copenhagen, serves as a museum, a classroom, and a place to get away from it all. How did people live during the Iron Age? How did they support themselves? What did they eat and how did they cultivate the land? These and many more questions. Okay, so the key is here: a classroom and a place to get away from it all. So, what's the main purpose of building the Iron Age Experimental Center? It is to replicate the Iron Age to get a better understanding of the time and people of that era. So the answer for the first one is B. Second question. What is the meaning of the sentence? Initially, this experiment proved none too easy for modern Danes accustomed to central heating, but it convinced the center that there was something to the Ledger project. So what is the meaning of the sentence? Initially, this experiment. So let's find where that sentence is there in the reading passage. So it's the third paragraph. Initially, this experiment proved none too easy for modern Danes accustomed to central heating, but it convinced the center that there was something to the Ledger project. Little by little, the modern Iron Agers learned that their huts were, after all, habitable. The problems were numerous. Even though staying in the huts wasn't easy for the modern people, the center saw merit in simple living within huts compared to expensive apartments. Staying in the huts was quite easy for the modern people, and the center also saw merit in the simple living within huts compared to expensive apartments. The way of living of the Iron Age proved difficult for the people of the modern age who are used to living in luxury. The way of living of the Iron Age proved very easy for the people of the modern age since it was hot inside the huts and they were anyway used to heated rooms. So definitely not D. So what is the meaning of the sentence? Initially, this experiment proved none too easy for modern days, accustomed to central heating, but it convinced the center that there was something to Ledger project. So the meaning of the sentence is the way of living of the Iron Age proved difficult for the people of the modern age who are used to living in luxury. That's all. So we have the modern days had the central heating system and they were very comfortable with it. So they found this age-old living, the Iron Age kind of living very difficult initially. So let's move on to the third question. What can be the title of the passage? Is it modern techniques find their way into prehistoric villages? Coexistence of ancient and modern times? Glad to be living in the 21st century? Turning back time. So it's no, they haven't, there's no coexistence of ancient and modern times. It's just a prehistoric, Iron Age village. Glad to be living in the 21st century? That is not correct because slowly they got accustomed to it. So the answer is turning back time. So D. Let's move on to the last question. From the passage, what can be inferred to be the center's initial outlook towards the Ledger project? So initially, what was the outlook? It initiated the project, it eagerly supported it, it felt the project was very unique, it was apprehensive about it. So the center had initiated the project. It wasn't apprehensive. Yes? They just tried out the project. Okay. So I've tried to explain how to analyze a reading comprehension passage, to understand, to get the soul of the passage in the beginning of the passage, that is the introductory paragraph, skim through the questions, then go back to the passage, find out the answers that are related to the questions so that you can save time. Since there are 4 questions, so you could not afford to spend more than 5 minutes for attempting a reading comprehension passage. Let's move on to passage 2. So as we have discussed earlier, analyzed that it's necessary to go through the initial few sentences of the passage, skim through the sentences in order to understand what the passage is about. When it came to promoting its new video game console, the Wii, in America, Nintendo recruited a handful of carefully chosen suburban mothers in the hope that they would spread the word among their friends that the Wii was a gaming console the whole family could enjoy together. It's about a video game console being promoted by the company through suburban mothers. Okay. Nintendo thus became the latest company to use word of mouth marketing. Nestle, Sony, and Philips have also launched similar campaigns in recent months to promote everything from bottled water to electric toothbrushes. So it's this kind of marketing, word of mouth marketing, followed by different companies. Let's move on to the questions. What is the experimental approach being discussed in the first paragraph? Word of mouth marketing, selling of video games, consoles, bottled water, and electric toothbrushes, traditional advertising, none of these. So at the outset, you can say it's word of mouth marketing. What is the tone of the passage? Neutral, biased, celebratory, or critical? Let's think about it. So, biased is, one-sided, supporting one certain section. Yes, speaking on behalf, supporting only that section. Celebratory is, praising somebody or some decision. Critical is telling about all the negatives and positives. Neutral is just presenting the facts and leaving it for us to conclude. What can we infer from Walter Kahl's statement? So, what do you understand from his statement? Amway and Tupperware are products where word of mouth marketing could be used. Amway and Tupperware are consumers who appreciated word of mouth marketing. Amway and Tupperware are companies who use word of mouth marketing. None of this. Let's go. Let's see. What is the effect of internet on word of mouth marketing? It is impeded by the internet. It is encouraged by the internet. Internet magnifies the moral issues of this marketing technique. Internet has made it obsolete. According to the passage, in what order did different companies use word of mouth marketing? So, order of the companies: Nintendo before, Sony, Nestle, and Philips; Nintendo after Sony, Nestle, and Philips; Nintendo, Sony, Nestle, and Philips all at the same time. None of this. So, we'll go back to the passage. Let's now carefully uh, coordinate your hand, your eyes, and your brain. Note down the important ideas. Yes, let's move on. When it came to promoting its new video game console, the Wii, in America, Nintendo recruited a handful of carefully chosen suburban mothers in the hope that they would spread the word among their friends that the Wii was a gaming console of whole family could enjoy together. Nintendo thus became the latest company to use word of mouth marketing. Nestle, Sony, and Philips have all launched similar campaigns in recent months to promote everything from bottled water to electric toothbrushes. As the power of traditional advertising declines, what was once an experimental marketing approach is becoming more popular. So, this is experimental marketing. It is also, these campaigns have been in recent months. Yes, it's about word of mouth marketing. Yes, it's a gaming console. It's carefully chosen. Suburban mothers are the people who are going to spread about this product. They are going to do the word of mouth marketing. After all, no form of advertising carries as much weight as an endorsement from a friend. Amway and Tupperware know you can blend the social and economic to business advantage. So Amway and Tupperware, we've seen that how they've blent the social and economic to business advantage. So when your close friend or your acquaintance endorses a product, says that it is good, it's very good, we all go to the product, we all purchase the product. Yes, after all, no form of advertising carries as much weight as an endorsement from a friend. Amway and Tupperware know you can blend the social and economic to business advantage, says Walter Carr, a marketing guru at Northeastern Universities. The difference now, he says, is that the internet can magnify the effects of such endorsements. So he says that the internet can support it more, magnify it more, magnify a word of mouth marketing. The difficulty for marketers is creating the right kind of buzz and learning to control it. So it should be a positive buzz, it cannot be a negative one. So, negative buzz, then it's going to have a negative effect on the business. Negative views spread just as quickly as positive ones. So, if a product has flaws, people will soon find out, and that will also be passed word of mouth and will be perpetuated by the internet. And Peter Kim of Forrester, a consultancy, points out that when Microsoft sent laptops loaded with its new Windows Vista software to influence bloggers in an effort to get them to write about it, the resulting online discussion ignored Vista and focused instead on the morality of accepting gifts and the ethics of word of mouth marketing. Bad buzz, in short. So you should be very, very careful. Now, this word of mouth marketing should be very focused on spreading a positive image about the product. We've seen in recent days how the credit of an app is either the ratings, I mean, is either magnified or minimized because of the spread of word of mouth, which is you see is being carried to a maximum extent through the internet in form of WhatsApp groups and other things. This Agent, a controversial company based in Boston that is one of the leading exponents of word of mouth marketing, operates a network of volunteer agents who receive free samples of products in the post. They talk to their friends about them and send back their thoughts. So this agent, this it's a controversial company. So what they do is their work itself is word of mouth marketing. So they have a few agents, volunteer agents, who receive free samples in the post and they talk to their friends about them and send back their thoughts. So they spread. So probably these volunteers or these agents have a lot of network on all age, with all age groups. So they're sociable kind of people where they pass on info about these new products. In return, they receive rewards through a points program, an arrangement they are supposed to make clear. This allows a firm to create buzz around a product and to see what kind of word of mouth response it generates, which can be useful for subsequent product development and marketing. So, this buzz is created around the product through word of mouth marketing, through a few volunteers who receive some points, some certain benefits through it. So that as the passage has given examples of Amway and Tupperware. This agent launched its service in Britain. Dave Balter, this agent's founder, thinks word of mouth marketing will become a multi-billion-dollar industry. No doubt he tells that to everyone he meets. Yes, so he himself follows this word of mouth marketing. Now let's move on to the questions. What is the experimental approach being discussed in the first paragraph? Of course, word of mouth marketing. What is the tone of the passage? Is it biased? Is it celebratory? Is it critical? Is it neutral? Is it just does it just present the facts, the positives and the negatives of word of mouth marketing? Then it's neutral. Probably the answer is neutral. What can we infer from Walter Kull's statement? So, what is this Walter Kull statement? So this is the statement. Amway and Tupperware know you can blend the social economic to business advantage. And difference now he says is that the internet can magnify the effect of such endorsements. Amway and Tupperware are products where word of mouth marketing could be used. Amway and Tupperware are consumers who appreciated word of mouth marketing. Amway and Tupperware are companies who used word of mouth marketing. So generally we are carried away with these names, the beginning names. See here he is used products in one sentence, consumers in another option, companies. So the answer is C. Amway and Tupperware are companies who use word of mouth marketing. So we generally are in our panic of time constraints. We just pick the wrong answer, although we know the right answer. What is the effect of internet on word of mouth marketing? It is impeded by the internet, it is encouraged by the internet. Internet magnifies the moral issues of this marketing technique. Internet has made it obsolete. So it is encouraged by the internet. B is the answer. According to the passage, in what order did different companies use word of mouth marketing? So he is asking about the order. Nintendo before Sony, Nestle and Philips. Imagine, just think, let's quickly go through the first paragraph where he says, Nintendo thus became the latest company to use word of mouth marketing. Nestle, Sony and Philips have all launched similar campaigns in recent months. So they've all been doing it recently. Is it Nintendo before Sony, Nestle and Philips? Nintendo after Sony, Nestle and Philips? Nintendo, Sony, Nestle and Philips all at the same time? None of these. Nintendo after Sony, Nestle and Philips. Yes. So recent months these people have been doing, and Nintendo is the latest. According to Peter Kim, what happened to Microsoft marketing campaign for Vista? So Vista, they had sent laptops asking bloggers to write. It succeeded. It succeeded with some hiccups. It failed. None of these. So the bloggers, instead of promoting Vista, they started discussing about the morality of accepting gifts and all that. So it actually failed. Where does this agent operate? USA and India, USA and UK, USA only, none of these. USA and UK. Let's see if the answer is right. This agent, a controversial company based in Boston. Boston is US. This agent launched its service in Britain. So that is UK. So it is both US and UK. What is the author most likely to agree to in the following? There is not enough evidence to state that word of mouth marketing is useful. There is enough evidence to state that word of mouth marketing is useful. Evidence shows that word of mouth marketing is a failed technique. Word of mouth marketing is unethical. See, he has given us in the passage, there are several examples that they've succeeded, and it really helps you to promote the product, taking into consideration that it is the buzz is created that positively about the product. So there is enough evidence to state that word of mouth marketing is useful, provided there's a lot of care taken. So, dear students, are you ready for the moving challenge that you will have to take this time? I'm sure that all of us, in fact, are much interested in movies, and so I've picked a few best movies, and you can either watch one among these or you can watch all of these since you have time available. So they are all Oscar award winning movies, and they have a lot of depth and meaning in it. The first one is In Time. So, In Time, this movie is about if we all knew how long we would live. So, you have the time running in your hands, yeah, and you can actually see how many more hours or minutes or days or years that's left. So, how life would be. So, a person would know whether that person is going to live or die depending on the time that is displayed on his hand, this or her hand, and not by the physical features, the aging factor that happens. However old you are, you still look young, but the time factor in your hand decides. It's just like a watch running through, ticking away, the seconds in your life. So something that's very interesting. It's just a 1 hour movie, and you could really watch it. Parasite. This is an Oscar award winning movie, and this is about the rich and the poor discrimination. How the rich live and think, and how the poor, their lifestyle and how their world revolves. Something that's very interesting indeed. A Beautiful Mind. A Beautiful Mind is about a Nobel Prize winner, John Nash, I guess, a Nobel Prize winner whose equilibrium has really changed the concept of economics and business and thinking, right? Then, A Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Very interesting movie. You need to have a lot of patience indeed if you have to watch this movie. This is how it just reverses our thinking process. When the child, an infant, is deformed and is born old, he looks like he's going to die within a few days. But as he progresses, he becomes young. In fact, he lives his whole life, and during his deathbed, he's just an infant, a very beautiful infant in the hands of his wife. So it's a wonderful thought process, breaking all thinking barriers. But you'll have to have the patience to watch this movie. And then, very famous Lord of the Rings. R. Tolkien's book, Lord of the Rings, it's been taken into a movie, and there are 3 parts. Lord of the Rings, the ring, whoever owns the ring becomes a very evil person who will dominate the world. So it's all fantasy characters and supernatural figures that appear in the movie. It's all poet's imagination. Just like how we are moved to a fantasy magical world in Harry Potter, it's even much more than this. Lord of the Rings, very interesting movie, and you could really watch any of these. Yes, you can comment. You can send me your experiences in the comment section below this video, and I'd be very happy to read them indeed. I'm sure you would have gone through the reading challenge that I posted in my last lecture. If you haven't watched the previous lecture, I recommend you to also go through that video. So there's another lecture on sentence error correction and phrasal verbs, and this is on reading comprehension.
I wish you all the best. Happy learning. Stay safe. And please don't forget to practice a lot of reading comprehensions during your free time. Thank you for listening.